Hello, everybody. I am not dead yet, and today I am talking about Jordan Peterson, who was recently bullied off Twitter for a controversial remark that he made. So, for those of you that do not know, Jordan Peterson last week, I believe, tweeted out a picture of the 2022 Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition that has a plus-size model, Yumi Nu, on the cover with the caption, "Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that." And he was kind of ripped to shreds in the comments, and honestly, rightfully so, because, like, he's fucking wrong. And it's really funny because I've seen a lot of people talk about this, right? And I remember, like, in some of the more social media stuff, like on some Instagram posts I saw, as well as some TikTok videos talking about the situation, that a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, W Jordan Peterson, average Jordan Peterson, W opinion," and it's like, no. Like, what part of this is a fucking W? Like, he gave the most lukewarm take imaginable, presented it in the most "I'm 14 and this is deep edgelord" way possible, and then ran away with his tail between his legs when he was called out and fucking bullied for it, right? Like, there's no W here. Like, this dude took consistent L after consistent L, and people are still trying to make it seem like he's in the right, and it's like, no, he's objectively wrong. Like, he is demonstrably wrong. Like, and he's even doubled down in the comments saying, "It's a conscious, progressive attempt to manipulate and retool the notion of beauty, reliant on the idiot philosophy that such preferences are learned and properly changed by those who know better," along with linking to studies, and then finishing by saying, "But don't let the facts stop you." Well, first of all, the two studies, I didn't read them because, like, I don't really care. Again, he's demonstrably wrong, and I will show how he's wrong in a second, but the two studies he linked was one that I think babies spend more time looking at what adults deem physically attractive versus what adults deem physically unattractive. So they put two babies, or they put, like, two people in front of children, and one was attractive, one wasn't. Apparently, children looked at the attractive one more, as well as there a study that I think proved some sort of relation between physical attractiveness and the ability to find a partner. I think that's what it was. I don't really care, because at the end of the day, first of all, we're in the fitness industry, right? And I think anybody who has spent a modicum amount of time in the fitness industry realize that you can find a study to back up anything. Like if I could probably find a study that equates to the amount of Fortnite wins I get is correlated with the amount of bitches I'm able to obtain. Like just because you can find a study that says something, it doesn't mean jack shit. And also, the studies he linked doesn't prove anything at all in terms of the point he's actually trying to prove, that being the objectivity of beauty, right? Beauty is subjective. And what bothers me about Jordan Peterson in this instance in particular is Jordan Peterson is not an idiot. He's not. He's a very intelligent man. And it feels like he should know that. You know, like, correlation does not equal causation. So sure, there might be some sort of correlation here, but that doesn't necessarily prove fucking anything. And the fact that he not only worded what he said in the way that he did, but also backed it up with literally nothing, makes me feel like he just said that to appeal to his audience of teens and young adults, right? Like, again, like, he's not unintelligent, and I feel like this shit, he should be able to do better than this, but the fact that he's not really raises alarm bells in my head. But let's go talk about and here's the thing too, because before I even get into the subjectivity of beauty, no one's arguing that there isn't objective aspects to beauty. There certainly is. There are some things throughout the beauty standards of history that are relatively consistent. Very, very few people will consider Quasimodo attractive. It's just not something that the vast majority of people will see as attractive. Deformities in general are not seen as attractive. And that is usually because symmetry is what is deemed as a standard of beauty. You want to be symmetrical, but even then, there are beauty standards that break away from the ideal of symmetry. Certain scars for women can be deemed attractive because, like, women towards men can be deemed attractive because the guy's tough and he's survived a lot, as long as, it doesn't make him too disfigured, right? But again, that messes with the symmetry. Same thing with tattoos. But for both men and women, tattoos can enhance the perceived beauty of a person. And unless they're getting the exact same tattoo on each side of the body, that throws off the symmetry of the body. So even with the general guidelines of what is objectively beautiful, there are exceptions to that rule. But if we take a look throughout history, the beauty standards throughout history have changed drastically. Let's start with, like, some of the oldest civilizations possible, the Greeks and Romans. If we look at the statues that they created of men, right, which are meant to be the ideal physical specimen, you may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. All their penises are small. And it's a joke, it's a meme. I've seen memes of it on the internet, but it's like, why were their dicks small? It's because back in those times, a small penis for them represented your ability to resist your base urges and pursue intellectual results. So if you had a small dick, they basically equated it with you being intelligent. Small pee-pee, big brain. And it's like, so that clearly isn't the standard of beauty today, right? I think we can all unanimously agree that, having a small penis is not the ideal male beauty standard these days. Is that authoritarian? Which is another thing that I'm going to get into later on. But let's continue to move forward and into the medieval ages and the Renaissance, with a lot of the Renaissance paintings, most notably women, being fat or slightly overweight. And the reason why is because the perception of beauty changes with the times. It changes with the circumstances, both economical as well as the information we receive throughout history. Again, the Greek thing probably fell out of favor when they realized that there was literally no fucking correlation between those two things. And even with men too. The height standard. Right? Let's talk about Napoleon. Everybody, like, the standard depiction of Napoleon these days is like 4'2", when in reality, him and I are the same height. He was 5'7", which was average height for the time. We just got taller, and even then, we only got marginally taller. The average height for a man in Canada and the United States is 5'9". He was 5'7". I'm 5'7". I'm 2 inches shorter than average, and I'm not just talking about height. I would be pretty good back in the Greek times. But at the end of the day, like, these standards of beauty change based off of the circumstances surrounding us. Bringing it back to the medieval ages, the reason why people viewed fat and pale, and I'm going to get into pale in a second, as beautiful was because of the conditions of the times. A lot of people back then were starving. And in order to eat, they needed to work outside, tend the fields, and grow their own food. So if you were fat and pale, it meant that you were well off enough to be fat, and that you were pale so you didn't have to go out and work for your own food. It was a status symbol. Nowadays, it's the exact opposite. We have here in the West, we have an overabundance of food, and we all live majoritarily sedentary lifestyles. So now, if you are in shape and tan, it shows that you have the willingness or take the time to take care of yourself, or you're well off enough to take care of yourself, as opposed to somebody who works a sedentary job. And if you're tan, it shows that you have the time to go outside or the resources to pay for a tan. It's not because blackface is suddenly back in style, like I've seen some people try to argue. It's because of the circumstances in which we're brought up and what is popular in our society. We have an overabundance of food, and a lot of us are inside sitting down all day. So now we no longer have to rub bird shit and lead poisoning on our face to make ourselves seem paler. Instead, we go outside and give ourselves fucking skin cancer from the sun, or sit in a tanning bed in order to give ourselves artificial skin cancer, But at the end of the day, it's like that's what happens with this. It's like our beauty standards change over time. And you want to talk about women, like, because all of these examples I've given are centuries apart, right? Let's just talk about the past, say, 100 years or even 50 years. Like, the beauty standards for models have changed drastically over the years, from the rail thin models, like going back a long time, to Marilyn Monroe-esque physiques, to big tits, which is a big thing in like the 90s, early 2000s, to now like big hips and ass, and even starting to get into like little more full and chubby, and ultimately, even if you're in the fitness space, muscle mommies, people like Lean Beef Patty, etc. Like now athletic women are becoming more popular. It just, like, these things shift and change with the times. Like, I even mentioned it back in my video collab with the Iron Musket, where I said, like, big hips and ass used to be a bad thing. Like, everybody talks about the Pixar mom look. The reason why the Pixar mom looks are so well endowed in the hips and ass is because it used to be a symbol of letting yourself go. You had kids, you stopped working out, and you stopped letting yourself be petite and slim. You gained weight. You're getting older. And again, childbearing hips, you're a mom now, you're past your prime. It was a symbol of letting yourself go and getting older. And now everybody's like frothing at the mouth at Elastigirl. Like, he's objectively wrong. I don't need a bunch of studies to go, hey, look at this, look at this. I can just take a brief look at history and prove you wrong. I don't even have to take a brief look at history. I can take a brief look at the past 20 years and see how the trends have changed. But let's take a look at that word he uses, authoritarian tolerance. Like, there's nothing authoritarian about it. Like, Jordan Peterson got famous originally for opposing legislation that would allow someone to fire you for misgendering somebody. And, like, okay, yeah, that's pretty authoritarian, allowing the government to control what you can and cannot say and allowing you to fire people for that. And I can see the argument being made, but there's no government here. There's no one forcing you to go, oh, you better buy this Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine and jack off to the chubby girl or else you're losing your job. No one's doing that. You don't like it? That's fine. And listen, I'm not even mad or upset if you're disappointed and go, oh, well, you know, I prefer the slimmer girls on my Sports Illustrated. That's what it's supposed to be about. Like, if that's, you know, how you feel, whatever, just don't buy the magazine. But it's not authoritarian. And, like, it's just a simple shift in perception. And sure, it may be people trying to influence the perception of others, but that's exactly what you are doing yourself, Dr. Peterson, right? You're trying to influence the way people view the beauty standards. So by your own logic, you're just as authoritarian as those news outlets and the people putting out those magazines. And I've kind of mentioned the whole, like, this isn't a W thing in a comment section of a TikTok video, and someone replied to me being like, oh, well, it's obesity and it's promoting obesity and that's not healthy. So like, it's doesn't matter. Like, you shouldn't, obesity shouldn't be promoted. My response to that is, this isn't about health. This was about beauty standards. And if it's about health, then I think you would have a lot more to say about the models on Sports Illustrated and Victoria's Secret than you would about somebody who is plus size or chubby or even overweight. Because have you seen what Victoria's Secret models have to do to look like that? Have you seen the diet of a Victoria's Secret model? And that's leaving aside the potential that they're not even natural on PEDs to look the way that they do. Like, honestly speaking, like, give me, like, she doesn't look bad. She doesn't. Like, she's chubby, overweight or whatever, but she's still got a shape to her physique. It's not like they went down to the local Walmart, found, you know, the trailer park trash chain smoker chick, Honey Boo Boo Mom, and threw her on the cover. She is still, by almost all aspects, a model. All she is fat or overweight or whatever you want to call it, right? She still looks incredible, especially for her size. She holds her fat well. Hell, if you gave me the option between her and a Victoria's Secret model or her and thin Stephanie Buttermore, I'd prefer her. Oh, why? Those fucking models are on the verge of death. Like, I'd break them in half just by giving them a hug. I don't think, have you guys, like, dude, does the average person know what it takes to do that shit? And so it's like, if we're talking about health, then you should be just as against the Victoria's Secret models and the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. But it's not about health. It's about beauty. And the fact is that beauty is, in large part, subjective. And whatever standards are set are based off of the times, what people want, and the circumstances surrounding those standards. And they can change like that. It's not about health. If it was about health, then we'd be up in arms about bodybuilders. Have you seen fucking Men's Health? How they look like Hugh Jackman? I don't want to look like Hugh Jackman. Have you, like, just covered in veins everywhere and shredded to the bone? Looks like one paper cut and his blood's gonna go flying. And even still, like, we're talking about two sides of a massive extreme. I don't want, like, for me, I've always said that halfway to your dream physique is the better way to go. I've always said, I don't want to be as big as Arnold, nor do I want to be as shredded as Bruce Lee. To me, my ideal physique, personally, is somewhere in between that, where I've got a little bit of muscle, and I look good, I look healthy, I look like I'm in shape, and I look lean enough to, get some definition in the arms, maybe a few veins here and there, maybe a six-pack if I'm lucky enough. And that is my dream physique. And honestly speaking, I think I've obtained it. Like, I know this isn't a whole lot, and, like, I just finished eating, no pump or whatever, but, like, I'm perfectly happy with this physique. Like, I think that it's good. And so, like, I don't need to be Tristan Lean or Athlean X. And, like, that's another thing. Like, if you have a problem with this, why are we up in arms about people like Tristan Lee or Athlean X that are shredded year-round? Especially Athlean X. I'm so fucking tired of the whole, like, this is the Athlean range. Tell that to Tyson Fury. Tell that to Usyk, who beat Anthony Joshua despite Anthony Joshua having the Athlean physique. Like, this isn't about health. This is about perceptions of beauty. And perceptions of beauty is subjective. And the fact that Jordan Peterson worded it like this, with zero nuance, when he is normally the person to interject nuance, well, that's a complicated question. Because what is beauty? Like, when that person just kind of goes, no, it's this or this. Otherwise, you're authoritarian. It's like, I truly believe that Jordan Peterson knows what he's doing, and to me, it just comes off as an attempt to virtue signal to his own audience. He knows the kind of people that watch him and knows what the kind of people that want him to say, or this type of stuff that the people that watch him want him to say, and so he said it in a way to appeal to those types of people, completely ignoring the nuance of the situation. Then when people bully him, he runs away, which is the funniest thing, because one of the things that he said when he originally went against the whole mandate for forced pronouns thing was that he doesn't believe that using people's preferred pronouns helps them, because the world is a mean place and it doesn't help prepare you for adversity and people going against you, right? And no matter what you think of the whole fucking gender pronouns or whatever, you'd think somebody who campaigns on that style of, get ready for the world wouldn't run away. And I mean, maybe he actually didn't run away. I went through his Twitter and he just kept posting, which is, again, very, like, I'm 14 and this is deep. Like, everybody is so mean to me. I'm taking a break from Twitter, and then he keeps posting. Like, I don't know. It just seems very odd. Like, he's, like, what did you expect to happen? Like, this whole situation seems like he threw a fucking tantrum, expected everyone to go on his side, expected people to be upset that he was leaving, and then realized that at the end of the day, no one really gave a shit, so he just kept posting. Like, it's like a teenager throwing a tantrum, going like, I'm gonna run away from home, and then when the parents go, yeah, okay, run away from home, they come back for dinner the next night. Like, again, I'm not saying Jordan Peterson is stupid. I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to him, but I think this is a clear example of, one, anyone can try to manipulate you, anyone can manipulate the facts, and even just if we're giving Jordan Peterson the most benefit of the doubt possible, anyone can just be wrong and have their own inherent biases. But also the fact that not everybody is an expert in everything. Because, like, if we want to talk about health, have you seen what Jordan Peterson eats? Like, have you heard Jordan Peterson's diet? He talks about how he eats, like, an all-beef diet or something. He talks about how all these different health problems he had went away. And it's like, no. Like, maybe it's because you just lost weight and stopped eating a bunch of garbage food, but, like, you could have had the same results eating fruits and vegetables too. And I talked to this with somebody who I work with, and he's like, well, to be fair though, it can work eating an all-meat diet. Look at the Inuits up north. Their diet consists mainly of meat. and it's, you know, pure, like actual good meat that they hunt themselves instead of all this processed crap. And I'm going, well, yeah, of course, mainly because out of necessity, because nothing fucking grows up there. But also, it's like, it can work and there can be benefits, just like keto can work and veganism can work. But at the end of the day, would I recommend those diets to anybody? No. What I would recommend is a balanced diet full of fruits, vegetables, dairy if you're not lactose intolerant, and grains. Like, just eat from the 4 main food groups, eat healthy enough, and exercise. And yet he talks about the all meat diet and how he hates eating his meals because it's fucking insufferable, and he talks about how all these health benefits. Well, maybe, again, and I'm not even talking anabolic dieting. If you just ate like regular food with a mix of fruits and vegetables, you could probably get some health benefits, feel decent, pretty good, and not absolutely hate every meal you're eating. So I just feel, I don't like self-help gurus. I despise self-help gurus, self-help YouTube channels, self-help content. I despise these people with a passion, because even if their intentions are pure of hearted at the start, it is at the end of the day a business. They are trying to sell you shit, and I find that a lot of these people end up getting high on their own fumes and becoming a parody of themselves. They end up getting propped up by all the people that worship them, despite the fact that they argue that you should think for yourself. They gather an army of brain-dead sheep on the Mildcast, and they end up buying into their own hype, which is fine. You need to have a certain amount of ego to want to be a leader. But again, it just, with the mindless drones that follow them, they eventually end up becoming parodies of what they once believed. To a certain extent, I think that's what happened to Ben Shapiro. I used to like Ben Shapiro years ago when I kind of first discovered him, and now I find that a lot of the shit he puts out is like fishing for those Ben Shapiro own compilations and shit like that. And like, these people become parodies of themselves. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the situation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I right? Is Peterson right? Or are we both wrong? And do you have something that you can enlighten us all with? But that is all for today. I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters. You guys mean the world to me, and I appreciate everything you do in order to help keep this channel running. It would not be possible without you. I would also like to thank Skybox Designs, who edited this video for me. Again, it would not be possible for me to keep posting without him, so thank you very much, Skybox. He is a graphic designer. If you want to check him out, all the links will be in the description, both to support me, that being affiliates, if you want to get yourself some protein or anything else, PayPal, Patreon, as well as Skybox Design stuff. But until the next one, I am not dead yet. Remember, only the strong subscribe, and if you are not either, there is always a tomorrow waiting for you.